Hey everybody, it's David here with BeckerArt, and today I am in Florida. Yes, you know that, right? Yeah, right. I am not outside like I wanted to be because here in Florida it is cold. And actually this morning is also cloudy, and I wanted to do a sun scene being in sunny Florida, which the land of sun, right? Well, the sun looked like it came out this morning, but clouds are coming in, a little windy out there, and also it's cold. About 40, which is I could have been out there. Definitely, I could have been out there. It's not that bad, but it's not sunny. I wanted a sunny scene, and I wanted to actually kind of go to this scene right here, which is in St. Augustine this morning, but it wouldn't have been this way. It would have been that sunny in there. This is more of an evening, well, because almost noontime. This is actually a picture from last year when I was here, and I figure, I'll just go inside. And so hopefully, it looks like it's going to be nicer this afternoon, I think. Looks like I was looking to the west, and it looks like maybe the clouds are going to clear out a little bit, but not early enough to do that outside. And so, oh well, I couldn't do any because I'm going to be teaching come tomorrow. I'll be teaching for the three days, and then I'll be back home on Friday. So, oh well, didn't have much time outside this year. So here's the scene, and it is St. Augustine, and I know that watercolor plein air magazine, they're going to have their thing, I think, in February. And so hopefully it'll be nicer in February when they come. But I'm here now, and I'm using a 140-pound paper, so it's kind of curled up on the edge. Because what I did is I sprayed the back. And if you're ever using 140-pound, and I couldn't find one 300-pound right now, but if I use 140-pound, I use a piece of plexiglass, and you can see I use a piece of plexiglass, and I spray the back, and then I just um, put the I spray it with this mister, and I put it down, and it lays nice and flat. I never glue my paper, or glue, I never tape my paper down anymore. I know everybody loves that edge that you get on there, but I don't, I frame all my stuff now like 140 or 11 by 14, right? I cut off an inch, so I can just glue it down to a board and put it right into a frame. And so I don't ever tape it down anymore. And so I'll paint right to the edges. Now it curls up a little bit, but as soon as I start painting, it's going to lay flat. And so I'll start with the sky, and I'll start with the sky basically being my lightest, and look at how dirty my brush is. So I am in Delano Beach, like a block away from the water. Not even a block, it's like almost on the water, but I would have loved to have done something out there, but unfortunately, the weather didn't cooperate this year. And it's still better than, oh, look at a little reflection there. What can I do about that? Push this up a little bit. No, push it down. No, that dark isn't too much. Oh well, we gotta have a little reflection right there. So I'm gonna start with my sky. I'm gonna wet my sky, and the roof is gonna be darker. So let's go right into the roof. Go right into the roof. And I would paint this the same way if I'm outside. And look at that reflection there. Oh, I don't like that. Didn't think about that. 1 second. Let me just really quickly direct that over here. 1 second. Sorry about that. Should have tested it. Well, I always forget about when it's wet. It's different. Still want to add a leaf there, though. Okay, there we go. It's a little dark, but and so I wet the area, and I'm just going to use a little bit of light blue to show the background being a little bit light. Is that really dark? Sorry about this, guys. Should have tested that beforehand. 1 second. That's what happens when you're in a hotel and you're trying to make everything work. A hotel room not being outside, which I would have loved to have been. So a little bit of light blue there. And this reminds me of a picture that one of the artists did in Watercolor Live this week. At that time I picked that, forgot his name, but he was in Watercolor Live, and he had this great shot of like a tropical street. And so this is a picture I took, so took it last year though. Right back there. Okay, that's 100%. All right, so sorry guys about this lighting. Let me just fix this. I'll fix it right away. Hold on. 2 point. All right, that's the best I'm gonna get it. All right, so there's my sky, basically my lights, and then with my shadow. Let's see if anybody's watching today. Oh, we got 12 of you. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Good morning. Put my picture up here too, so I can see what I'm painting. Okay, so there's my lights basically, and the light of the street I'm going to keep white of the paper, and so I'm not going to go into that. And everything else will be middle tone, it'll be like the sky, but I can't do that now because there's a wetness to it. I'll take a little bit of, and I'm using my plein-air palette, which has a lot more colors than my other one, but I don't use them all, but I just have them all there. I might as well start with the shadowing now. Let's start some shadows. There's this white wall over here. So I'm just going to put a little bit of this light blue because this light blue is reflecting into things around it, you know, and gets rid of the white of the paper too, which I'm using verdant blue right now, which is kind of a purpley blue. I'm putting that on the wall here. And let's get some warmth in the light of the building. So I'm gonna take a little orange, a little bit of lavender. Oh, wrong orange. I should have taken the reddish orange. But then if I take the lavender, it gets more blue. I just want to make like a beige, and I use lavender with a red orange. So I'm gonna take that, and that gives me more of a, for the building. Like I want to put it in the building. The building and the front is light, and so I'm just gonna give it a little touch, and even the sidewalk a little bit. Just give it a little bit of burgundy, not burgundy, beige, kind of like a beigeish orange. Everything else is mostly dark and middle tones, so I'm looking for all my light areas. Oh, and this wall here, wall is kind of pinkish. Put some pink in there. If you have questions, please ask away. If any of you were at Watercolor Live, that was, I'm sure you got tired of watching watching demos like this because that's all it was. It's a lot of demos to watch every day and asking questions. This will be dark in there. All right, let's go right to our middle tone. And I freehanded this last night before I tried to figure out if I would go out or not. And I just thought, well, okay, we're just going to do this inside. It's easier to teach you too, being inside here. So now my middle tone is going to be a lot of the big shadows, right? Inside like the roof right there, a lot of the stuff going back. Let's do a little bit of the greenery in the distance. So I'll take a little bit of blue and cornicum gold. And there's a dog been barking all after morning. It's like this hotel, I'm not sure they have a dog, one dog in there that just likes to howl once in a while. So you may hear a howling dog once in a while. So there's my weight. This is in green. I'm not gonna make it as dark as in the photo because I wanted to push stay back And then these trees are gonna be a little bit darker, but I'm gonna put a little bit of the light green now right into these palms. So that's just a look, that's just a light green. Maybe you should put some of that into here too. Well, it's wet, so that's just soft edged, showing that there's part of a palm here. And these are the light parts, the parts that are behind the darks, because you see the dark parts, right? Because you're underneath them, and so you're going to see the underside of them. I make all my greens with quinacridone gold and blues. Even these foliage up here, I can do some light greens in here. And you notice when you work outside, I work out because it's a lot grayer out there than you think. Um, and I noticed that with a lot of the famous artists, the famous Alvaros and Mr. Z, that they use a lot of grays. They even have their own grays from Daniel Smith. I think a lot of those guys have their own grays. I put a little bit more yellow into this green. This is the lighter green that's going on top. I'll do the dark parts later. Reflect that into the side here a little bit. Way back here. Looks like it goes underneath. Trim. Again, I'm doing this now because it's a middle tone, and all I have left is middle tone right now. And that is still very wet, so I can't do that part. Let's do our shadowing. And so shadowing on a light gray ground like cement can usually be any color that you wanted, because I always say that white, look at your scene and pick up the colors that you've been using. But since I haven't used very many, you can make it a cool, they say a cool sky, a warm shadow. That's okay to do. Yes, you can do that. I kind of just take the colors that I've been when I think I might be using. I'll be using blues and oranges, so and violets and yellows. But there's going to be a lot of violet and yellow in this, so I like to use kind of a grayish lavender kind of color to get my shadowing. And then I pick up the colors, like this is gonna be a warm foreground because the sky's kind of cool, so I'm gonna make this kind of more of a warmer shadow. And I'm not going to wet it first, I'm going to wet it as I go along. So I'll just put water across it with a little bit of the lavender. Across right here a little bit. So I used lavender and my dirty palette here. So lavender, a little bit of orange, the red orange. Maybe a little bit of warmer red, like a little bit of more red in there. Or not. Probably a little bit more yellow, right? I'm gonna make it a little bit warmer, because this lavender gives it the coolness to it, but then I warm it up with that little orange or orangey yellow. Have a little bit of violet in there to make it darker. And I'm pulling it across the ground, and I'm going to leave the white of the paper for the light parts. Go right into these people. I think I'll make it a little bit more lavendery. And remember, it's going to dry about 20% lighter. And it's not all the same color. It's like maybe over here it's a little bit lighter, and it usually blurs a little bit more when it goes away from where it's being cast from. Well, it's being cast from this whole tree, right? Is where it's happening. And then usually I work from back to front, but because there really isn't that much back, just right here in the middle, which is also my center of interest, I'm keeping that. I'm leaving that for later because I'll get to that. Making kind of dappled light. Let's put a little bit darker. I notice it's gonna get pretty light here because I have a lot of water down. And then on the side of this, I'm gonna go right over the bike because the bike is darker. I'll leave a little bit of light right here. I notice that there's a little bit of light that's hitting that little side thing there, which is really cool. I mean, that's what you look for, is things like that. Let it just stay there. And it's drawn up into my wall here, but that's okay. If I feel like it's going to be too dark, I can do this, rub it off a little bit, go right through these people, getting the shadow going back. I try to figure out a way to go through a lot of things. I don't want to stop and do individual things. I want to kind of have it go all the way through and connect everything together, like right into this dark wall right here. This is a dark wall, shadowed. So I'm gonna use the same type of colors. Man, I have been getting some, this paper is like, I must handle my paper really badly because I keep on getting paper that's all showing signs of wear. Like I must put it in and out of my bag or something because I get these little dots and it's so weird. All right, quit complaining, David. Just keep on going. Here we go. So we're gonna go down here. Oh, hey guys, morning guys. I didn't look to see who's here. Hey everybody. Hey Mike, Janet, Ann, Janet, Rebecca. Oh, Janet's in Key Largo. Hopefully it's warm there. Rebecca's in Ocala. Mike was at Watercolor Live. Yeah, I'm sure you were exhausted by the end. I was exhausted just watching. Um, it's very exhausting watching that many, because it's all day, and so it's all day long. And I was teaching, but I watched some of it like when I got done in the end of the day and in the early morning. But not early morning, they don't do it early morning, but I go over these people. I'm just putting it a little dark there. Now I know it's warm underneath there, and so I always start with any color, and I just happen to have lavender in my brush, but I can always change that, put a little bit over this way, and this is gonna be darker anyways. And so I can put a little bit of warmth in there right after. You know, I'm gonna, in the eaves of things, you always put orange anyways, and so it's gonna kind of do that right away. You don't have to stick with one color. I don't ever put one color in things. I just kind of go around, put all different colors in a wash, especially while it's still wet. You still have the time to do that. Get my picture here on top of your questions. No questions, just hellos, but I love hellos. Thanks, guys, for coming. And let's go over. There's people sitting on the top of this. Looks like a British restaurant. The sun's breaking through a little bit. I can see a little bit of blue sky on inside the clouds. So I'm putting this little warmth up here because this thing is going to be really dark. So I can actually go through there with this, just make it light now. And then this will be nice and light. You don't paint pieces, you paint areas, you know, and I'm really into painting areas, trying to get the big parts done first. Really into that when it comes to painting, teaching my students how to paint. Don't paint pieces. You don't need to paint pieces. You need to paint areas. So important to paint the areas. And you start out with my three-step process, which is step one, lights and color. You establish your lights and colors. And step two is your large, mediums, and darks, which is I'm doing right now, right? I'm getting my large mediums and my large darks. And then my final step, step three, is doing final details, dark and light details. I do that with every painting I do. And right now I'm doing my middle tones. My middle tones establish a lot, you know, in the fact of showing the value pattern. We're looking for a value pattern, right? And there's a car right here that's darker, so just go right into the car. There's going to be a plant right there. Just a little bit, make this a little bit warmer. A little bit warm underneath here. And same thing with this balcony is also dark. These are all brown balconies. Raining in California too. It's raining everywhere. It's snowing. It had snowed in Florida, I guess, on the Panhandle. That's very different and weird. Let's go right through this. And this is all dark over here. So let's just get a nice dark gray, kind of darken this. And the people are going to be darker than this area. So this is still a middle tone. And everything here is going to be a middle tone, except the lamps. I don't need the lamps like they're on. There's a couple of lamps that I'm going to draw in there. It's going to go right through all this stuff with a middle tone. This is not the dark yet. I'm doing the middle tone. And you'll do that on top of that. So you're establishing our colors in there. And look at how the big area, it's like one big area, and that makes my light shine through the middle, right? So simple. If you work large areas, that's how I get, and that's how these people on What Are Live got things done like in an hour, 45 minutes or what. I think I got 45 minutes when I did mine. I did two I did two videos for them, one for Legion Papers and one for, I can't show you the one that I did for them because you have to be a member there, but I think Legion Paper, I'll be able to show you that one about panels, about their panels. All right. Excuse me. Coffee here. How much time I've got? How much have I wasted already? 8:51. Wow. It's taking forever to dry too. It's probably because it's so freaking cold here. All right, so let's see this background underneath this little awning here, or little balcony also. All the darks underneath the balconies, and then all the little things going on. You're not going to see exactly what goes on back there, and it really doesn't matter. I can't even see in the photograph exactly what's going back there. There's a lot of people back there, and they get darker as they come forward. And then I'll do the darks of the darks later in a second. Get all my big areas. Get your big areas done. Don't start doing details right from the get-go. Unless sometimes you have to do a little bit of detail to make it look, like what's going on there. Because you may have to do a big area, but the center of interest is in your big area of center of interest is in that value. So then, yeah, you can go ahead and put some of that in there, details. I put some green here. All right. Is this roof dry yet? Okay, dry enough. I'm just gonna, what I'm gonna do on the roof is it's slightly darker than the sky. And what I'm gonna do is pick a value that's not too dark, probably warm, a little bit of light red, which is kind of brown. And since it's kind of dry, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take it across quickly to get texture. So I'm just gonna go like this and get texture. It's dry, and so if I pull it across here like this, that's gonna give me a little bit of texture. And I'll pull it this way, this side. I want that texture of like the shingles. Messed up there a little bit. Oh, see, I took it away. Just a little bit darker. And then there's a lot darker right there, but I'll get that later when it's dry. Get my darks. This little smokestack here, this chimney. Hopefully it's dry there. Good enough. Now this area is really dark, but I can get the lights first of that. So I make my own brown with purple and orange. Purples and oranges make great browns. Just going to take that, and this sign is all together. Sign on the roof. And just make it all together with the middle tone first. Middle tone first before you cut it out with the darks. Yeah, I don't think people realize is that I try to get everything together, like this sign and that sign. They're in the same area, and if there's a dark, then just start with the middle tones, get that in there, and then later come in with your dark. You can put some dark in right away too. I mean, watch this. I can put a little bit of dark, like I sent to make it soft edged, and do a little bit of that. But the hard edge stuff you can get later using a purple, a little bit of blue, blue and purple, make a nice dark. No details yet, no hard edges. It's well, I did a hard edge right here, which I probably should have went right through because it's a dark value sign. Dark values there, so I'm gonna take a little bit of dark, a bit of lavender. Lavender has a lot of white in it, so you guys gotta remember it is kind of opaque if you use it too thick. So definitely water it down so it doesn't become opaque. Unless you want it at the end, keep it opaque, that's fine. And so I established a little bit of dark there now, so I know how dark I'm going to be going. I mean, about that, but I can go even darker, almost black, when certain areas like in the center of interest. So the center of interest is this guy pretty much right in the center here, all these people, and I thought at first it would be like this section right here, but it's this whole area, the whole area walking through. And I don't have a hairdryer here either. Oh, I probably went in a thing, but I didn't check that out. That's okay. We'll make it work. And so let's just go into our darks now because I have all my middle tones, right? All my middle tones. So now my large darks. So start going with all my large darks. The Legion panels only come in the 5 sizes right now, and the biggest is 16 by 20. They are thinking about doing one that's going to be like 24 by 30 or something like that. But not yet. They just haven't made that one yet. But 16 by 20 right now is the biggest one. Kind of expensive, but you know, in the long run, when you're going not to frame it, you're framing it out with framing it with glass, and it's pretty nice. And you don't have to do any of the gluing. You don't have to buy the glue. You don't have to buy the panel because you can buy aluminum panels. You can buy aluminum panels to do all that stuff. But so I'm putting in my middle tone, my darks now, and they're kind of detailed. And going across quickly. Hopefully it's dry. I'm trying to hoping that it's dry. Up here it's not, but over here it is. And then roughly take my brush across here. And I know it doesn't look this light there in the picture. I'm just giving it a little bit more light, like the light kind of shining in there. Go underneath. And I got my smaller brushes because now I'm working a little bit more detail. And I'm going to make it, in my photo, it's very dark in there, so you barely see anything. I'm not going to make it quite that dark um, because I want that to be a little bit more open. You can see in there a little bit. Put my orange in the eaves of things that always, I learned that from Irving Shapiro. This is the darks. And keep the eaves going out there. Then go back to my dark brown, going around the people that are sitting up there. That's just a gesture of them. They're not really that detailed. And I'll put the darker darks in there too later. I don't know where to put my finger. Everything's still wet. When things are wet, do not go in there. It's hard to not. but that's where you're going to ruin it when you go into your wet areas and you don't want a soft edge, you want a hard edge. This is okay because I don't mind it being too soft edge there. And so now I can start working a little bit from the back to front now, when I got to this point now. So this area here, use a little bit cooler colors back there and have it become warmer as you come in forward. And here I can do a little dark railing. This flag is kind of lit up, so all right, let's get some darks back there, since that's the only place that's dry right now. I can't do a lot in there because it's all wet, so this is almost dry. So let's show you how to do some foliage. I like to use these bristle brushes that you get like Menards for 99 cents. And so it's great for like technique like that for the foliage. So I'm taking quinacridone gold, taking like a Prussian blue, a nice dark blue, and I'm just gonna tap it down and just wiggle it around a little bit. Now it gives me all kind of like hard edges, so I will wet areas in there too. A bit more water, a little bit darker. I'm pressing straight down. They have a thing called the funny brush. You can also do that with, like a natural sponge. You can do that with cellophane. You can do all kinds of texture. Even with your regular brush, you can do this too. And I do this outside too. I use these same things. This is no different from how I would do it outside. Outside would probably dry faster depending if I'm in a warm area and if it's hot outside that day. That helps out a lot to dry it faster or too fast. Sometimes it's too fast. You're like, ah, darn it. And you can't ever paint in the sun. So if you're out there, do not paint in direct sunlight. You can't have direct sunlight on your panel. It just burns out your eyes. And you can't tell what value that you're really putting down. So for the palm tree, what I'm going to do is use my rigger, same colors here, and I'm just going to kind of wisp them. Just kind of have some parts together. Do the fronds a little bit here and there. Maybe a little bit brighter green here now. So take a brighter blue with the quinacridone gold. And looking at the side, these fronds are really, there's a lot of them hanging on the tree. So don't worry so much about trying to get exact. They're all over the place. Like this one here, a bit bluer. Covering my pencil lines a little bit so you don't see my pencil lines. I like these palm trees that have more of like a big leaf type of thing ones instead of the branch ones where it's more branches, more branch-like. All right, so then let's go back to the background here and start getting these. And these I'm getting a little bit more careful with because I want to kind of, this is part of my center of interest right here, so I can be a little bit more careful with these. And I get the outer edge. Inside, I let that bleed, like inside of the tree, leaving a little bit of openness to it so you can see through the tree, the palm. And I'm gonna get darker as I come forward, right? And you don't make them super green, and a lot of times add a lot of orange into your green. orange. There's a lot of orange and green because of the dead leaves and the yellow mixed with the blue kind of makes like a gray. And now there's the trunks going down. It looks like this is all really kind of dark. Let's go for some really light palms back here. Mess with my finger a little bit. They're kind of grayish, but also violety, the trunks going down. And you're going to be a little bit darker as they come forward. Go around some of these heads here. See, I'm coming forward and I'm coming forward with all my getting darker, more contrasty, more detailed. Detail. I'm kind of coming from the top down. I've noticed on this one, which I rarely do, but it's working. Okay, now my smaller round brush to get some more details of this whole building back there. Just keep on going with that. And I kind of go from the palms right into the roof. And a lot of it looks dark, and so why not just make it all dark? You don't have to go and do individual things, just go across all of it. Just kind of go in there. The pencil lines will keep it nice and making it look like what it is. And then it gets a little bit lighter there, right? And all you see is the posts coming down. And this one has some light on the banister. It's a little bit white. I just have a bunch of ruined brushes and use those for texture. Yeah, ruined brushes, never throw away brushes because you can always make things out of them. Like either, where you can get texture or scrubbing out brushes where you scrub out with them. So yeah, never throw out brushes. I'm going underneath here, do the windows real quick. On the side here, it's again light, but then it's really dark around here, right? Taking a little bit of purple. And one because otherwise I start looking at those places, and I don't want you to start looking at those places at all. These are not my center of interest. My center of interest, I keep on looking to get my eye looking over there. And I keep my most contrast will be in those areas. And here, let's do the car real quick. Let's make it an orange car. So this got kind of light, right? And look at it, it's 140-pound paper, and look how flat it's laying. When you wet that back, I say wet the back, and it'll be fine. And there's a really dark in here. There's gonna be that gate, but then we have the trunk of the tree coming right down there. And I think I'm ready for superfine my detail stage because I got my large mediums pretty much done and my large darks pretty much done. So now it's pretty much detail time where I go in for all the details. This area is too light, and so if it's still not totally dry yet, but I can go back over, I have to re-wet it, and then just add more pigment to that. And in the meantime, I'm just going to start my details. Going with all my details. Like there's posts and stuff and all these things that are detailed and each person, each individual person and windows, signs. I'm making the I'm making the shadow go not as far as it is in the photo because there's a line from this building over here which I'm not going to put in because I'm just letting it be a little bit closer to the people because I think it's too distracting if I go right to the edge right there. And when I do people, I call them Bob's Blobs. Robert Wade showed me how to do Bob's Blobs, where you blob the colors in the area. You know, you take different colors for different shapes. Now, this guy's jacket is blue, or his coat is, or his shirt is blue. And so I'll start with that as a blob. And I'll put it somewhere else. Maybe this person, she's got a purse right there. And they are darker than the the they're darker in front, and so that's a good thing. So you can also, though, you can make it colorful though. You don't have to just make it blah. So I'm gonna make this one maybe more red. She's got like this long coat on or long sundress. And then this person in front there, maybe give that some hair on them. And these are all dark. All these people here are dark, and let's gray them up a little bit. They can be a color, but I'm just gonna gray up the color a little bit. And the Bob's Blobs is what you do is you do the torso first. You kind of do the torso, then you do this carrot stick leg that come to a point like a carrot stick. And then you do the head. And then you look at it and try to figure out what the arms are doing and what they're wearing. Do they have a backpack on? Do they have a purse? This guy's got shorts on, which I have been wearing the whole time I've been down here because I refused to not wear, and I actually didn't bring many long pants because I was hoping it'd be warm all the time. But my legs usually don't get cold, so I have been wearing shorts. And the sun just came out, and the clouds are gone. How about that? Now I could have gone out. So it's supposed to be 60 some degrees this afternoon. So finally, here we have a little the head. Remember the head after you do the legs. This person's got, and they're pretty much. I'm just making them darker right now because they're darker against, like in the scene. There's some lighter parts on the right side because the sun's coming in this way. So here, back here, I'm just faking a bunch of stuff. Give this lady in front some red hair. Just gotta have one redhead in there, right? You know me. This person is a dark. First two are bad. And I've been getting into putting opaque in my work, and so if I don't get it exactly right, I tend to put opaques in there. Though I've been working, yesterday I was working on, and so I've been working on those, but I had to come right to there. I had to come right to there. And here's a British flag, which has got the, and here's a British flag, which has got the small little lines. All right, just close. Not to get perfect with the flag. Oh, I just put my hand in all of this. Look at that. It's all wet, and so, oh well. Well, and now let's get this front of the street going again. You know what I'm gonna do? This roof looks so white and so light. I'm gonna put some reflection of shadows from the rooftop, like from these trees. Just gonna assume that maybe some of this gets in there. So I'm gonna put some shadows on the rooftop here. And back here too, make that darker, like it's going away from. Just gonna put some shadows. I can still put a little bit more of the texture of the tiles on the roof. Oh, it's saying that I'm dropping some frames. Hopefully you guys can hear me still. I'm not sure what to do about that. Again, because I'm in the, this is Wi-Fi, so something happened with the Wi-Fi. Hope you'll not do too much of that. It just went away. All right, so let's do our little big area here. Detail, you know, is basically what it is. Check out your picture and copy things then, because that's basically what detail is. It's all the little things that you see in your picture, and that's what I do for detail. And I love getting the big, though I like doing more of the big stuff because sometimes the big stuff really, you can get so much done with the big stuff. Lamp right there. With the small stuff, if you don't have the big stuff looking good, all the detail doesn't really matter. You have to make the big things and the value pattern look better than the other stuff. That's what's important. The little stuff is just like the icing, the frosting on the cake. Or first you put the frosting on and you build the cake and then you have the little happy birthday on it. That's so the detail is the happy birthday part. So you have to have it all already looking good before you start putting that on there. Like all the fancy frosting tips, that's what you're doing. That's what I'm doing now. And then I'll get the final parts in there. Hey Gigi. Let's put a little bit of color in down here. Let's give these two people, and there's two people I put right there. This one a little bit darker. Shouldn't be using this big brush for that, but this brush is okay. So kind of just, I don't make things super tight. I might try to keep the people very loose. If I were hyper realist, then I wouldn't do that, but I am not, and so I kind of do more of an impression of people there. Things. Okay, so before we forget, before we run out of time, 10 minutes, I want to get these this darker. So I want to show you that you never have to worry about getting darker. You just have to make sure that it's dry, and it is dry now, dry enough to touch. And then take my big brush again, re-wet, and then just lightly re-wet it. Let's see, I'm gonna put a little water on here, lightly re-wet it, and then just float more darker pigment in there. Just get it darker, thicker, but you still want to float it. You still want to float. So make it darker. And don't agitate too much with like rubbing it. You know, try and unless there's something underneath it that you want to kind of get in there and get some of that moved around, or there's a hard edge line or something. But other than that, work it like it's the first wash again. Just let the pigment float. You know how I am with floating your pigment. You have to let it float. You wet it and then let the pigment sit on top and just do its thing. And here I'm gonna put that little shadow in there again. Maybe I'll do a little bit of a light wash over this, like a dirty wash over that. Okay, and then over here, see, much darker, but now it gives you the impression that it is darker up there. That sign, I can make it a little bit darker too to bring that whole area up forward. But I gotta do this pretty fast here now. As I get over here, I'm gonna get the shadows of the bike on there now. And the bike, I'm gonna have to put in hard edged, and these lines, that's gonna all be hard edged. See there's a little shadow from the bike against there. And that's really light for you. You probably can't even see that because the light is right there, unfortunately, that I had to do. All right, and I like to do those small lines with my rigger. So I'm gonna grab a rigger. Hopefully then our frames are not dropping again. If they maybe just sign back in, I'm not sure what I could do. Let's bring this up a little bit. So now I'm gonna get all the little details of this fence right here. I'm almost using black with purple and making it really dark. And this is wet still, so unfortunately I have nothing. I can't stop now. It is wet, so I'm not gonna get the. They're gonna be kind of soft, which actually over here is not that bad idea to get them soft. Some angle iron. There's a little sculpture right there, which I'm gonna have to use. I have to use white paint because I went over it. When I use black, and I know a lot of people are talking in watercolor live about how they all mix. You know, I take black and mix color into it, and I find that that also works. And it works easier for students because I find sometimes the students have a hard time mixing their own blacks. And so, not a bad thing. I don't, you just do whatever it takes to make your darks look good. See, I'm taking a really dark now, and I'm gonna go in here and accentuate certain parts. So I save my darkest darks for the center of interest and for the end. Remember I said the very last step is detailed darks. And when I say dark, I mean dark. And you have a lot of different darks in your palette. Use them, and if you have black in there, you can put it right into those colors, and it's fine. You're gonna make the bike what the look of a bike is. I just put it in there. I don't have to even look at the picture. I know where the fork is. I know where the fenders are. I know everything about the bike, where the chain and the pedals, spokes. You put a few spokes in there. See, it's sorry about that, but there's nothing I can do. I put my hand over the light. You can see. Actually, if I turn it off, maybe that's gonna be better now. Let's see what happens if I turn it off. Well, that's okay. So I'll turn it off. All right. Except for this sign up here, we're done. So a couple more minutes, 4 minutes. And you can go as far as you want with the people. If you want to get really detailed with the people and do more, like give them a little more. I gotta give this guy legs. That'd be one good thing to give him legs. If you want to make them a little bit more detailed with texture on them and make them look, maybe the car can be a little bit more detailed, you can do that. Gotta do the sign, but I gotta do this pole right here. There's this light pole. All right. What's kind of important is to do this. Well, let me show you the white thing real first, quick. So if I miss something and I have to use white paint, like this little sculpture, those two sculpture things, I just use white paint now. And you could also put masking fluid there, but I'm just gonna do this. And also to get highlights, I can get some highlights with my white. And that's up to you. Some people are traditionalists. Don't want to use masking fluid, or they want to use masking fluid, or they don't use white. I tend to use whatever. I do whatever, especially when I'm outside. Whatever I have, I just make it work. Thanks, Gigi, for asking me to like the video. Thanks, Barbie. Sorry I had to sign back in. That's not under my control. I just the Wi-Fi here. It's probably not as good as at home where I'm on the wire. All right, so now here, really dark darks, just to kind of get the darks back. I'm just gonna make it like you can see the structures, the beams. And then the sign itself. Do this side a little bit darker underneath. And then if this is a place you went to and you really wanted to put this thing there, that's fine. I don't know what it is. It's like M.A. Maximus. It's probably a restaurant with M. All right. 1 minute left. And I think I've got it though. Here we got a lamp. Get some people's hair a little bit darker. And like I said, I may go in here with dark after the thing's done, just to get some light. These posts, I didn't, the posts, there's a couple posts right in the street, just so people don't drive down. There's the one right here. I'm gonna make it light. Last thing I'm gonna do. Then we got a light post there. There's a post, there's a post. Everywhere a post, post. Okay, I think that's it, guys. So not outside, but still not too bad. And it looks like I now can go outside because it looks like it's getting warmer and just a few clouds in the sky. More shadow underneath there. We have it. So everybody, have a great week. Hopefully you'll hear if you're in Florida next Thursday. And next Thursday I will also be doing it from a thing. I'll be driving that night. So that night I will be from a hotel again. But have fun the rest of the week. And if you're in my class here in Volano Beach, I'll see you then. See you tomorrow. All right. Bye bye.